Welcome back, bug nerds. Today I wanted to go off on a tangent about how much I hate HOAs and lawn care companies. This was inspired by a short that was put out by the Insect Spotlight Project, which is another YouTube channel, which I'll link in the description. And he does a lot of cool, shorter videos. But I had been looking for information for a video that I'm planning on doing on conservation of monarch butterflies, and he had put out this short today about butterfly conservation, which I thought was really well timed. So I wanted to talk about this a little more. So there was this study which is currently in editing. I believe it will be published soon, out of Maryland. This was a study by Max Furlato. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And this was about the effects of raking your leaves or leaf disposal in yards on the abundance of butterflies, moths, and other insects. Uh, I'll link this paper in the description. Removing autumn leaves in suburban yards as a landscaping practice reduces the spring emergence of overwintering insects. It hasn't been published yet. This is the pre-publication print of this, but Max Ferlato, who is the state entomologist in Maryland, has a bunch of other research on the effects of leaf removal on yard health and soil health and things like that. So what has happened here is that he did a bunch of kind of collection experiments on yards in areas that were either high maintenance or low maintenance, with the meaning the addition or subtraction of leaves over the course of the winter, to see what the effects leaf removal had on the overall abundance of insects in those suburban neighborhoods. And he found pretty shocking results. So there was a 40% reduction in butterflies and moths, a 24% reduction in beetles, and a 67% reduction in spiders, which is huge. And these were in yards without pesticides. So if you coupled leaf removal with pesticide application, you're talking about a catastrophic destruction of the insects involved. So his research also showed, not in this paper, but in an additional paper, that the removal of leaves caused soil nutrient depletion, which wasn't easily replaced. So basically, suburban lawns, mostly because of HOAs and their requirements for how you have to maintain a pristine lawn and all this other BS, have gotten into this death spiral where you have to hire a lawn care company, basically, or sometimes the HOA hires a lawn care company, and they come in constantly, they overmow, they remove all the leaves, thus destroying the viability of the soil. You need to spray fertilizer to replace the nutrients which have been lost because of the soil depletion from the removal of the leaves. And then you need to spray pesticides because you've destroyed all of the spiders and predatory beetles and all these other insects that would normally keep insect pests low through the removal of the leaves. And it's just this enormous waste of money and its destruction of the ecosystem. And what's interesting is, besides this paper, is I've talked about this problem before with leaf removal with fireflies. And this is something that comes up usually during the summer, and I've talked about it on this channel. The overall reduction in the presence of fireflies in areas around the eastern United States. And this, again, people like to blame it on climate change and agricultural pesticide use, but something that I absolutely cannot stand with conservation outlets is when they talk about things that need to be done which aren't actually actionable. Loretta in Gainesville, Florida, can't do anything about agricultural pesticide usage or global warming effects. What these people need to start doing more of when they write these articles and stuff like that is talk about what actual homeowners can do, gardeners can do, stuff like that, in order to improve conservation practices. And one of the big things that you can do to help firefly populations is stop removing your leaves. Because basically what happens in these situations, and I don't know if you're familiar with the word subnivium. I don't remember if I've talked about it on this channel. So you have your ground, and especially in kind of wooded areas. So you have your trees, and the leaves fall during the fall or during the autumn. And along with this, you also generally have the accumulation in the soil of insects. Not sometimes it's larvae, and then a lot of times it's pupae in the fall, and this is how the insects overwinter. So you end up with a bunch of leaf litter covering up these insects. Uh, and unfortunately, if you go through and rake these leaves, one, you're going to pull up a bunch of these insects with the leaves, and then you put them in your black bags and they get burned or destroyed or whatever. So you're physically removing the insects from your yard. But the other thing that happens is the destruction of this thing called the subnivium, which literally is under the snow. So in nature, what would normally happen is that these leaves would cover the ground, and then the snow would come down. These are my terrible snowflakes. I can't do this quickly. The snow would get packed on top of the leaves. And so you would end up with this negative space under the leaves that the insects can live in and they can stay warm in. And they stay active in some of the warmer parts of the winter in this like subniveal zone between the ground, the leaves, and the snow. And by removing these leaves, the insects that are left in your yard just get snowed on directly and they die. They can't deal with the cold temperatures. So you have this issue now in suburban neighborhoods where you have the HOAs have demanded that you do this with your yards or else it would be fined. So now you are seeing the massive reduction of insect diversity in these neighborhoods. So what can you do about it? So, like I said, I hate when people don't give any sort of actionable advice. One, you can go to war with your HOAs. I hate HOAs. They're generally terrible. I realize I know why they exist, but what they ended up doing, especially with our lawn care stuff, is generally really destructive. So try to get them to change their rules about how how often you have to do your lawn care, what your lawn has to look like, stuff like that. Because even today in my neighborhood, we're mid-December and the lawn care people were here. It's been cold. I don't know why they're here. They're basically just mowing dying grass down to nubbins and removing the last of the leaves. This is ridiculous. Don't use pesticides because don't use pesticides on your lawn because that's just going to make the situation worse. You can talk to your city council or town council or municipal council, whoever it is, to get them to stop mowing and raking sides of the road so frequently, especially in the fall, or kind of like unused green spaces. Frequently, the city will pay for the mowing and leaf removal of just kind of like empty lots, and you don't necessarily need to do that. So petition them to stop doing that, lobby them to stop doing that. Stop raking your own lawn if at all possible, or stop raking your garden if at all possible. Leave that over the winter so insects can stay under there and keep warm. Or if you're going to pile up the leaves, pile them up in a corner of your yard. Kind of make a compost pile so that the insects that you are physically moving in those leaf piles can actually just stay in the yard. They'll stay in that leaf litter and they'll stay warm there. You can use that leaf litter to compost around your garden, things like that, if you want leaf litter coverage. But don't just kind of go with the flow and allow these lawn care people to come in and just destroy all of this habitat for your little insect wildlife. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I will link to the Insect Spotlight Project because he's a really cool guy. He does a lot of interesting videos. Go over and check him out, and I'll talk to you guys later.